I'm Matt.
I'm Kerry.
We are the Stagmer brothers of Baltimore Knife and Sword. We're going to be building some of your favorite weapons, and some weapons that you've never seen before.
This is Man-at-Arms, Reforged.
You guys have been asking for another challenge build for a while now, and this time we decided to up the ante by using only tools and techniques from the 19th century. We have chosen weapons from the Fallout video game series. We're going to flip a bottle cap to see who picks first.
Okay, for my Fallout build, I'm going to build something simple, the bladed aluminum baseball bat. Here I scrounged up an aluminum baseball bat, picked up some saw blades, and found some old dirty barbed wire in the field. We'll clean and polish all this up, drill some holes, and start assembling it.
John may have won the coin toss, but I really won the coin toss. I get to make the oak bat with nails in it. Batter's up.
Here's a fun fact. I actually had never seen someone turn something on a wood lathe before. When Sam first came to work for us, he demonstrated for me, and he turned a mini baseball bat. So now he gets to do it on camera, and everything comes full circle.
The first step in my Fallout build is to go ahead and cut the grip off my bat. Then we'll take some sandpaper and sand the finish off.
While Sam and John both work on their highly modified baseball bats, I figured that would be a waste of my skills. Since I'm a blade guy, I'm gonna make a bladed weapon, and I chose to do Krem's Tooth, which is a machete basically on crack. It's arguably the most sought after melee weapon in Fallout 4. It's an upgraded machete in the game, but instead of upgrading a machete, I'm gonna start from scratch. I'm gonna use some plate steel, cut it out with a torch, go to grinding, get it heat treated, and finish it up. Machete is a close quarters weapon. That means that it has a short blade, allows you to be able to fight in really tight areas. So I'm gonna make my handle 6 inches long, and then I'm gonna go up 22 inches, and I'm gonna go ahead and make a mark at 28. That looks like a pretty typical machete length. That's the only thing typical about this weapon. So I'm gonna just sketch this right on the plate. You'll notice that the blade has really wiggly edges and rough edges, and I'm drawing just nice smooth lines. The reason being is I chose to cut this out with a hand torch. Not a plasma torch, but a hand torch. It's gonna naturally make those raggedy edges. I'll just have to go in and sharpen them on a grinder, and then we'll be good to go. Feeling pretty good about this project. I know it's early on, but Sam and John better bring their A game. As you can see, I'm struggling a little bit as I cut this. I've actually never cut any plate using a hand torch. I've always had a plasma cutter ever since I started as a sword maker. But in the 1790s, a German inventor named August von Marquette invented a blow lamp. So the torch has been around a long time. This is an old school technique. I just wanted to show you something different you haven't seen on Man-at-Arms yet. So I thought I chose a pretty simple build, you know? Torch cut the blade, grind it, add some handle slabs, good to go. But forgot I can't use my powered sanders. So I'm gonna have to file this to shape. I'm gonna get right to it now, or I just won't have enough time to finish this. So I'm gonna start with a round file. I'm gonna follow these natural serrations that our torch cut added. So I'll basically do that all the way around, different size files, different shapes, getting in on different areas. Flip it, do the other side, and then I gotta go start cleaning up this whole perimeter and doing the same thing. To save a little time on the perimeter, I'm gonna use a hammer and just knock off some of the rough stuff left in the torch cut.
The next step in our process is to go ahead and drill holes in my saw blades using the original cordless drill. Now that we have the baseball bat sanded up and the holes drilled in my saw blades, the next step is to go ahead and drill through the bat.
All right, I'm almost done adding all of our outer bevels. This has been a challenge not only because I have to do it by hand, but as you know, usually I take something really rough, refine it, and make it look pretty. In this case, I'm taking something rough and trying to make it even more rough. So I'm making sure I change my angles as if maybe the torch cut edge is the edge itself. So when I go to heat treat this, after heat treating, I'm not gonna do much cleaning up at all because I want it to look all one fluid rough piece. All right, now that my edges are done, it's time to put the holes in where my handle slabs are gonna go. I'm gonna start by using a spring-loaded center punch. That's gonna put a little divot that's gonna allow my drill bit to have a starting place to bite into. Then I'm gonna use this handheld auger and drill my holes.
Now that the holes are drilled in the bat using our hand drill, I'm going to go ahead and cut threads in. Since we're doing this old style, 19th century, I'm going to use a hand tap and a good old wrench and do it the hard way.
So I finished rough turning the bat, and now I'm going to move to sandpaper and just smooth that whole surface out in progressive grits, just like we would sand a blade. So I'm going to start with a rough grit at a 24, and then move up to a 120, 220, and then 400. So now the bat's been completely finished sanded to 400 grit. I'm going to rub this beeswax on, use the heat of my hands to kind of get it in the wood grain, and then burnish it with the sawdust from the actual bat itself.
Now that I got the blade filed to shape and I'm happy with it, it's time to heat treat. I'm gonna be using the welding forge. It's gonna give me a lot more heat, and this is a short blade so it won't affect anything. I'm gonna quench the blade into oil first for two reasons. One, I want the blade to get nice and crusty just like it looks in Fallout 4. But this is also called a sacrificial blade, so I'm gonna be using our holy oil quench tank because, well, it has to have some poison damage, and this is the only way I know how to do it. After quenching it in the oil to get nice and scaled up a few times, I now get it up to my desired temperature and quench the blade in water. With Sam and John both making modified baseball bats, I thought I was being slick by making a bladed weapon. But now Kerry's entered the game, and he decided to do a sword as well. I hope mine beats his.
For the Fallout challenge, I'll be building the Revolutionary Saber. It's a relatively simple piece. I'm going to be starting from a railroad anchor, which is a clip that goes on the bottom of the track, keeping it in place.
I've got a piece hot in the forge. I'm just going to straighten it out, and then we're going to size it and lengthen the bar.
Now that we have both saw blades secured to the bat, John's gonna wrap some barbed wire around it. This will not only add some extra support, but also gives it a little more badass look, and it's exactly how it is in the game.
Century theme of the Fallout build, I'm going to straighten one of these rail clips by hand and forge the nails out of it for the baseball bat.
Sam first has to turn that railroad clip into a straight bar. He does this on the anvil, he starts on the horn, moves to the flat, gets it straight, ready for the rolling mill.
Sam has decided to take the stock all the way down to a square. He'll be running it through the rolling mill multiple times to bring it all the way down to his desired size.
The rolling mill didn't even grunt. Rolling that rail clip down into nice clean stock. I'm going to clip it to length and then begin to forge the nails.
Using a hot cut Hardy tool, Sam clips his pieces down to size. He'll then be able to draw them out from there. Since I noticed John used some found objects, and that's kind of the whole point behind the Fallout game, I decided to go ahead and use some wood from an old pallet. It's gonna be decent wood. It's gonna give us that old weathered look that's already been sitting outside for a while. Next thing I have to do is lay my blade on top of that piece of wood, use the holes I pre-drilled in the handle to be my guide for the wood part. Since Sam has about a dozen nails to make, he's going to show you a couple different methods. First, he's going to draw a couple nails out by hand, then he's going to move on to the Bradley and show you how he does it there.
Now that I've gotten the length on this blade and shouldered in the tang, I'm going to be doing some hand beveling so that when I go to the filing and finishing, I've got a lot less work.
Now that he has his nails nice and pointy, Sam's going to move to the vise, clamp them in, and upset the heads.
To harden my saber blade, I'll be coming from the atmospheric forge and going directly into the quenching oil.
To make sure the wood bat doesn't split while driving the nails through, Sam's gonna drill some pilot holes. He then heats the nails up and burns that round hole square. He's now ready to set those nails in permanently.
To create the form for this guard, I'll be using the edge of the anvil. It'll delineate where I'm going to change from a ball form to the section where the tang has to come through. I'll upset the ball form, driving it back on itself, and I'll flatten out the area where I'll have to punch for the tang.
So I've pretty much finished the wood section on my handle. Got a nice little surprise after I hand sanded and oiled it. It's actually a very pretty wood, but in the game, it's got some grip tape wrapped in a spiral and spiraled back. So now we gotta cover that pretty wood up. So I'm just gonna take some charcoal, grind some dust in my hand. Just rub it all around, get that nice and dirty. All right, with our handle now done, this piece is complete. This might be the ugliest thing I've ever made, but I sure am proud of it.
I'm using a small acetylene torch to heat up the tang on this sword and burn it into the walnut handle. You'll notice the little notches on the tang. That's so that when I set it in epoxy, it'll hold true.
This challenge allowed us to use some new, old techniques. I'm really happy with all these builds. I think we all killed it. Can't wait to see how all 4 of these do in the demos.
Click here to subscribe, or click here to watch more episodes. Thanks for watching Man-at-Arms Reforged. We need to know what you want the guys to build, so tell us in the comments below what weapons you want to see next.